Today, we're going to build a clock, and it's about time.
Alright, kick back, relax, and grab yourself a beverage or hop if you want to just bounce.
Well, today's clock is going to be made out of 2x4s. So it's a super simple design. It's going to take you two 2x4s and a clock kit that I'm going to put the link in the description down there. But as I was thinking about this design, I realized a lot of cool things about clocks. What's the best time on a clock? And it's 6:30, hands down. I was also thinking about if you ate a clock, man, that would be really time consuming. So for this project, we're gonna need two 2x4s, a clock kit, a bunch of numbers. We're gonna need some wood chisels, some stain, paintbrush, coffee, chocolate chips, you know, the usual. Now our dimensions for this clock are going to be 2 feet by 2 feet, and it's gonna be circular. So we're gonna take our first board, which is gonna be our center one, and I'm measuring in 1 foot exactly, 12 inches to here, and then since 2x4s are actually 3.5 inches, then we are going to measure 1 3/4. 1 3/4, that's going to find the dead center of our board. Boom. So our distance we've got to measure out, so it's going to be 24 inches minus 3.5. That's going to give us 10 1/4. And then if we summon the math magic that is carry the 2, we're going to make this the center, and it's going to be a circle, and it's going to be even. Math is hard, okay?
Math is hard, so let's do some fun stuff like chopping wood. Now to put this clock in, we are going to select a drill bit that is just wider than the spindle of the clock. I'm going to use a pilot hole so I don't have any wobble or travel from my main drill bit when I'm drilling into the wood. Now using a speed square, I want to square up this clock mechanism, and then I'm going to just make a bunch of lines so that I can have a guide for my saw blade to go through. I want to make a bunch of cuts really close together, and this is going to allow me to notch out a groove where that clock mechanism is going to sit down flush with the back of the clock. That way it hangs real close to the wall. Now depending on how thick the clock body is, you'll have to just check and see. But then you want to put just slightly longer or deeper on your saw blade. So you just get that thing adjusted so that that thing is going to cut just slightly deeper than your clock body. And once you get done making all those cuts, you just take your wood chisel and you can push all those pieces out and smooth things up.
Okay, so now that I have all of these boards laid out where I want them, I am going to now mark just the circle pattern that I want to use for the clock.
Now I just used the same drill bit that I used to drill the hole, since it was the same size, and some wire so that it doesn't stretch or anything, and then measured out with a pencil and made a nice big circle. Then I took my jigsaw and individually cut each piece, and then we'll glue all these together later. Oh look, a circle!
So my jigsaw was a little wonky because I got some serious differences here in that, but I mean, oh my gosh, could have gone out and caught a beaver and cut a better edge than that. Well, I'll just use my flap disc on my angle grinder, and we'll make up for all those mistakes. So let's glue this thing together and get this project going.
All I'm using to connect all these boards is just wood glue. No biscuit joiner, no pocket holes, nothing. Just connecting it all with glue to show you how strong it is, and also because I'm impatient and I don't want to do all that other stuff. So once this dried up, I took my angle grinder using a 36 grit flap disc. I just went to town on the edges and it made it nice and smooth all the way around.
So I got this thing all sanded up and I put a little bit of extra kind of grooves, a little wear on the edges here because I felt like it was just gonna be cooler. I got carried away with my angle grinder and my sanding wheel, and I didn't stop to even record me putting in those in, because when I get going with a sander, man, there's just no stopping. There's a few things that just get me in the zone. Sanding is one of those. Welding, everything is getting welded together. When I put on stain, I'm just like, everything needs to be stained. Dishes, just kidding, I hate dishes. But wood burning is like, man, I start burning the trees. I mean, there's not a whole lot in my backyard for obvious reasons. I love wood burning so much, let's burn this thing.
Now there's a couple of techniques when you're burning wood. This one is a little bit side to side, which you can do, but it doesn't make the nicest, cleanest edge with the flame. I prefer to go in a straight line just like this. That allows you to go along with the grains of the wood. I think it brings out the natural grains a little bit better and doesn't make it look so forced. I'm going to slow this down just so you can see how fast I'm actually going. Nice and slow, taking your time, depending on how dark or light you want it, but you can get a groove and then just go to burn town. Okay, that's enough. Let's speed this process back up.
Happy little grains. You can burn as much as you want or as little. I mean, it's your world. Just burn some grains.
Now for the polyurethane, I'm going to use a clear gloss. And I'm also using this stick because I don't want to wipe off any of the burn. It is basically ash, so you just want to make sure you keep some of that on there and lock it in with that polyurethane. We're going to give these numbers a little bit of spray paint, some hammered metal look, and I think that will tie in a little bit better with the natural wood. Now I used a speed square to line these numbers up, and originally I was going to have the clock with the boards going horizontal, but I liked how they looked vertical, and so I decided to keep it that way. We're going to get this clock mechanism installed. When you put the brass nut on in the front, you want to make sure you don't put it too tight because it can affect the mobility of the hands and make the time get off. Let's just add a battery and this baby's ready to go.
So on the back side of this to hang it, what I'm going to use is these picture frame hangers, and these work really good, and I've used them on a clock before, but these nails are tiny, okay? So you can see these things are like ready to just fall out and then have this giant thing come crashing down on something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these nails out and then I'm going to put a screw in. That way it stays nice and strong and no toes get broken. I love it. This thing's awesome. It's adorable. It's so cute. Right in the heart. Wasn't even looking and it just got right in the old heart, in the feels. I am obviously stoked how this thing came out. I mean, I did not think it was gonna look this cool, but I found out when you burn things and then you do a really sloppy job with polyurethane, I mean, Yes. And these numbers, they're plastic. And these are 2x4s. This whole clock costs like 20 bucks. This is really easy to do. You need to go make one. I would love for you guys to send me pictures, post them. You can tag me at Senior Bagels on Instagram. Just let me know what you've made. I'd love to see what you have come up with. Everything that I've used in this video is listed below. You should be able to find it on Amazon, at Home Depot, obviously. Like, where else would you go? But thank you for watching. Please subscribe, leave a comment, give a shout out. I love to hear from you guys. Well, this video is done and it's time to go. So stupid. And then you do a really sloppy job with polyurethane. I don't know what happened there. I kind of choked on my own saliva. And then you have